The stars above Earth twinkled peacefully, a sight that many humans took for granted. Earth had been isolated from the rest of the galaxy for centuries, abandoned and forgotten by those who once feared and respected humanity. The rest of the galaxy had moved on, believing Earth to be nothing more than a dying world. But all that was about to change. On a quiet night, as humans slept, the silence of space was broken. A strange signal, something no human or alien could explain, echoed through the dark expanse of the galaxy. It wasn't a message from a friend or ally. It wasn't a distress call or a warning. No, it was the sound of something much older, something buried deep within the forgotten planet called Earth. In the high-tech, quiet command centers scattered across Earth, a group of scientists and military leaders worked tirelessly, studying the signal. At first, they thought it was a malfunction, a glitch in their communications equipment. But as the signal grew stronger, they realized it was no ordinary transmission. It wasn't a message meant for them. It was a message about them. Far beyond Earth, across the dark void of space, the signal had not gone unnoticed. Alien species, who had long since turned their gaze from Earth, now found their attention pulled back to the once-forgotten planet. They wondered what could possibly cause a signal like this to come from the depths of a dying world. Some were curious, others suspicious, and some were even fearful. No one knew for sure, but one thing was certain. Earth was no longer the quiet, forgotten planet it had once been. Back on Earth, the military and government officials scrambled to understand the message. It was a code, encrypted with technology no human had ever seen before. Despite their best efforts, no one could break it. The message was clear. Earth was not the last of its kind. There were others who were watching. As the tension grew, a fleet of unknown ships appeared on the outer rim of the solar system. They moved in perfect formation, silent and imposing. They were not friendly. Their weapons were unlike anything Earth had ever seen. Their ships were sleek, powerful, and designed for war. The aliens had come. But what did they want? The people of Earth had long since stopped worrying about space travel, about galactic politics. They had become isolated, forgotten. Why would anyone, especially a race of alien conquerors, care about a planet so far removed from the galactic stage? The first attack came without warning. One of the alien ships, positioned just outside Earth's atmosphere, fired a powerful energy beam straight at the planet's surface. The beam hit a remote part of Earth, causing a massive explosion that shook the planet to its core. The attack was calculated, precise, and devastating. The aliens had not come to negotiate. They had come to conquer. The government quickly moved into action, gathering their military forces and preparing for a defense. But what could they do? They had no advanced weaponry, no fleet of ships, and no alliances with other galactic races. They had been exiled to Earth for so long that they were seen as weak, insignificant. The aliens, however, underestimated humanity's resilience. Though Earth had been cut off from the galaxy for centuries, humans were not helpless. They had always been survivors. They were clever and adaptable, and in the face of overwhelming odds, they would fight back with everything they had. What the aliens didn't know was that Earth had secrets hidden deep within its crust, remnants of an ancient past when humans ruled the stars. As the alien ships launched more attacks on Earth's surface, the human military leaders came together to form a desperate plan. They would use whatever resources they had to fight back. But they were not just relying on their modern technology. They had something far more dangerous, something older, something buried. A group of scientists had been investigating ancient ruins found deep underground, remnants of humanity's long-lost empire. These ruins contained technology far beyond the aliens' understanding. The scientists, working quickly and under pressure, activated ancient machines, hoping they would give humanity a fighting chance. The first test came when they fired an energy beam from one of the ancient weapons hidden beneath the Earth's surface. It hit one of the alien ships, and for the first time, the invaders were caught off guard. The ship's shields were shattered, and it fell, burning into the atmosphere. The aliens had never expected this. Earth, a planet they believed to be helpless and insignificant, had suddenly turned the tide. Humanity was no longer weak. Humanity had a secret, one the galaxy had forgotten about. But this victory was just the beginning. The alien fleet, though shaken, was far from defeated. More ships came, more powerful forces. Earth's defense, though strong, was still in its infancy. The battle for survival had just begun, and humanity was facing an enemy unlike anything they had ever imagined. Still, Earth had one advantage. The aliens didn't know who they were up against. They thought they had come to conquer a dying world, but they were about to learn that humanity, even in exile, could rise to meet any challenge. The signal that had once seemed like a cry for help had now become a beacon of defiance. The war for Earth was only beginning, but already the galaxy was about to learn a painful truth. Humanity was not finished. As the battle raged on, one question remained unanswered. What had caused the sudden appearance of the aliens, and why had they chosen now to attack Earth? The galaxy would soon find out, but by then, it might be too late. The silence of space had been broken, and the war for Earth had begun. The attack from the alien fleet was swift and brutal, catching humanity off guard. But as the alien ships circled above Earth, ready to continue their assault, something unexpected happened. Humanity began to fight back. After the initial shockwave of the attack, Earth's governments scrambled to unite their forces. The attack on the remote region had made it clear this was no ordinary enemy. The alien ships were equipped with advanced weaponry, far beyond anything Earth's military had ever encountered. But humanity had one thing the invaders didn't: determination. In the underground bunkers where humanity's most brilliant minds worked, something extraordinary was taking place. Scientists, engineers, and military leaders came together, their focus narrowed on one goal: survival. Despite their lack of advanced technology, they had something the aliens couldn't account for: ingenuity. As the alien fleet continued its bombardment, humanity's military leaders called upon every available resource. They began utilizing old technology, repurposing satellite defense systems, and building makeshift weapons from scraps of the old world. The aliens had underestimated Earth, and now the planet was showing them exactly what humans were capable of. In a desperate move, Earth's military launched a counterattack. They fired a series of missiles toward the nearest alien ship, hoping to pierce its formidable shields. But it wasn't enough. The missiles were easily deflected, and Earth's forces were left vulnerable. The alien fleet's commander, a ruthless and calculating being known only as HFY, watched the futile attempt from his ship. He had expected resistance, but he hadn't expected Earth's people to fight so fiercely. This world, so isolated and forgotten, was proving to be more resilient than he had ever imagined. But that wouldn't stop him. His orders were clear: Earth was to be conquered, and nothing would stand in his way. However, as Exiled watched his forces prepare for another round of bombardment, something strange happened. One of the alien ships, the most advanced in the fleet, suddenly malfunctioned. Sparks flew from its engines, and it began to spin uncontrollably through space. The alien crew, panicked, tried to regain control, but it was too late. The ship collided with another in the fleet, creating a massive explosion that lit up the sky. The alien fleet's confidence began to waver. The very thing they had underestimated, human ingenuity, had started to take its toll. Though Earth's defenses were weak, they were adapting quickly. But how? The answer lay deep beneath Earth's surface. Buried in the forgotten ruins of an ancient human empire, a team of scientists had discovered a hidden weapon, something that could change the tide of battle. It was an ancient machine, a relic from a time when humanity had once ruled the stars. But it wasn't just any weapon. It was something more, a device that could manipulate energy, creating shields, beams, and even control the very fabric of space itself. As the alien fleet prepared to launch another strike, the scientists worked tirelessly to activate the ancient weapon. It was a race against time. If they couldn't power it up before the next attack, Earth would fall. The device hummed to life, its energy surging through the underground facility. With a sudden burst of power, the weapon activated. A massive energy shield enveloped Earth, deflecting the next wave of alien fire. The invaders had never seen anything like it. The alien ship's weapons hit the shield with a deafening roar, but they couldn't break through. The humans had done it. They had turned the tables. The alien fleet, now stunned by the unexpected turn of events, regrouped. Zell, furious at the unexpected failure of his forces, ordered his fleet to retreat. But it was too late. The humans had learned how to fight back, and they had a weapon the aliens could not understand. The battle for Earth was just beginning. As the alien ships retreated to regroup, Earth's leaders, now emboldened, sent out a transmission. They weren't just defending their planet anymore. They were sending a message to the galaxy. Earth was not a forgotten world. They had risen from the ashes, and they were ready to fight. But the aliens were not about to give up. They would return stronger, more determined. The war for Earth would not be easily won, but humanity had proven something crucial. They would not go down without a fight. The question now was simple. Could Earth's people hold their ground long enough to defeat the alien invaders, or would the galaxy witness the fall of humanity? Only time would tell. The alien fleet, once confident in their ability to conquer Earth, now found themselves in a state of uncertainty. The mysterious energy shield that had sprung up around the planet was unlike anything they had ever encountered. It had withstood their most powerful attacks, and for the first time, they hesitated. Could it be that the humans had uncovered something beyond their understanding? Zal, the fleet commander, paced restlessly on his flagship. His mind raced with questions. The humans' ingenuity had already delayed their conquest, but there had to be more to it than just a primitive weapon. He ordered a full scan of Earth, hoping to uncover whatever hidden advantage they might have. Yet even with the most advanced technology at their disposal, the aliens could detect nothing. The humans were hiding something. On Earth's surface, the unexpected victory had galvanized humanity. The shield wasn't just a defensive measure. It was a statement. It had proven that the humans weren't helpless. They had the will to survive, and they had something powerful to fight for. Leaders from all over the planet began to communicate, exchanging resources, technologies, and strategies. The world that had once been divided now stood united by a common enemy. The global response was swift. Human forces began organizing into larger, more efficient armies, and the first steps were taken to launch counteroffensives. But the aliens weren't idle. Zell, frustrated by the delay, ordered a series of reconnaissance missions to Earth's surface. His objective was clear: find the source of the shield and destroy it before it could give humanity an insurmountable advantage. Meanwhile, deep underground in hidden laboratories, the humans continued to study the ancient weapon. It wasn't just a relic. It was a key to something far greater. The scientists had managed to unlock a fraction of its power, but they believed there was more to discover. Time was running out, and if they couldn't harness the full potential of the weapon, they knew Earth would soon be overwhelmed by the alien forces. Then, a breakthrough came. The team working on the energy weapon discovered an unusual energy signature, an anomaly that had been overlooked. It was buried deep within the machine's circuitry, and once activated, it unleashed an even more powerful force. The shield grew brighter, stronger, and the energy beams it could emit became deadly. Humanity had unlocked the next level of the weapon, but with this power came a new danger. The weapon wasn't designed just to protect. It could also destroy. For the first time in the war, the humans were in possession of a weapon powerful enough to challenge the aliens head-on. The question remained: should they use it? The potential for destruction was immense, and many feared the consequences of unleashing such a force. But there was no time for hesitation. Earth was already under threat, and if they didn't act, The alien fleet would surely return in greater numbers. On the alien flagship, Sal observed with growing frustration. His fleet had already suffered losses, and now it seemed the humans were preparing something even worse. He had no choice but to escalate the attack. He gave the order to prepare for an all-out assault. As the alien ships began to move in position for their final strike, humanity's weapon was activated. A massive energy beam shot out from the heart of the ancient weapon, slicing through the void of space like a giant laser. The beam struck the nearest alien ship, disintegrating it in an instant. The alien fleet reeled in shock as they realized the true extent of humanity's newfound power. But it wasn't enough to end the fight. The alien fleet retaliated with all the force they had, launching a barrage of missiles and energy blasts toward Earth's shield. The world trembled under the onslaught, and the fate of humanity seemed uncertain. The energy shield flickered and shuddered under the strain, but it held, barely. Earth's military forces launched a counterattack, using their new weapon to strike back at the alien ships. The tide of battle began to shift, but the aliens had no intention of retreating. Sal ordered his forces to regroup, hoping to find a weakness in the humans' defenses. He had underestimated them once, and he wouldn't make that mistake again. Humanity's forces, despite their newfound power, were still struggling to keep up with the superior alien technology. Yet every strike they made brought them closer to victory. They had nothing left to lose and everything to fight for. The human spirit, once thought to be weak and fragile, was now proving to be the greatest weapon in the galaxy. As the battle raged on, the aliens were forced to adapt. The humans' resilience and adaptability were unlike anything they had encountered before. Every time they thought they had won, the humans found a way to strike back. And every time the humans were pushed to the brink, they rose again, stronger, more determined than ever. The war was far from over, but for the first time, it seemed that humanity had a chance. The invaders had come to conquer Earth, but they were now facing an enemy that refused to yield. The fate of Earth, and perhaps the entire galaxy, hung in the balance. In the midst of the chaos, one thing was clear. The aliens had underestimated humanity. And now, the cost of that mistake was about to be paid. The battle for Earth had reached a critical juncture. The skies above the planet were filled with the twisted wreckage of shattered alien ships and Earth's own military vessels. The ground shook as explosions ripped through the cities, but the people of Earth were no longer afraid. They had risen from the ashes, forged by their need to survive, and they were determined not to fall again. Humanity's fight had taken a new turn. What had once seemed like a hopeless struggle was now a battle for dominance. Zal, commander of the alien fleet, stood on the bridge of his flagship, gazing out at the destruction. His forces were battered, their ships heavily damaged. The humans had proven themselves resilient, and their strange new weapon had caught the alien commanders off guard. But Zal was not one to admit defeat easily. He had studied human tactics for years, and though their strategies were chaotic, they were also unexpectedly effective. "Prepare for a full-scale bombardment of the planet," Sal ordered, his voice tight with frustration. He couldn't allow himself to lose to these primitive creatures. The resources of Earth were too valuable, and the galaxy had never seen an enemy like humanity before. The alien fleet repositioned itself, ready to launch their final assault. But even as the massive ships turned their weapons toward Earth, there was a sense of uncertainty in the air. For the first time in the history of the invasion, the aliens questioned their victory. Would they truly conquer a species that had defied all expectations? Would they ever be able to break the will of the humans? Back on Earth, the people had no such doubts. Despite the brutal attacks, the survival instinct that had driven humanity for millennia was alive and well. The global alliance, now stronger than ever, was making their final preparations to counter the alien onslaught. Every man, woman, and child had a role to play, and every soldier was prepared to fight until their last breath. The message was clear: Earth would not be conquered. In underground military bunkers, the human leadership had gathered. President Elena Rivers, a former soldier who had seen the worst of war, stood at the center of the table. Her face was grim, but there was determination in her eyes. "We have the power now," she said, addressing the military leaders around her. "We've unlocked the full potential of the energy weapon, and we know how to wield it. But we need to act fast before the alien fleet can regroup." General Marcus Harris, one of the brightest minds in the human military, nodded in agreement. "We've made significant strides, but their fleet is still too large. We need to hit them hard and fast, take out their command ships, and cripple their support vessels before they can retaliate." Rivers turned to the rest of the council, her voice steady but urgent. "This isn't just about survival anymore. This is about sending a message to the galaxy. Humanity will not be ruled. We will never submit. We will never be a footnote in the history of the cosmos." With that, the plan was set in motion. The final assault on the alien fleet would not be a slow grind. It would be a decisive, all-out attack aimed at the heart of the alien invasion. Humanity would bring the fight directly to the enemy, and they would show no mercy. At the same time, the alien fleet was preparing for what they thought would be the final victory. Zal stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching the human forces below him. His fleet had been through battles before, but there was something different about these humans, something he couldn't quite put his finger on. Their spirit, their relentless drive to survive, had made them a far more dangerous opponent than he had ever anticipated. "Prepare to engage," Zal barked to his crew. "We take Earth. Now." But as his fleet advanced, a sudden burst of light cut through the darkness of space. It was a signal, unlike anything the aliens had seen. A signal that humanity had learned to harness the energy of their ancient weapon in ways they had never imagined. It wasn't just an energy beam this time. It was an entire wave of power, an unstoppable force that tore through the alien ships like paper. The alien commanders scrambled to respond, but it was too late. Their ships were being torn apart by the overwhelming force of the human weapon. Massive explosions lit up the void of space as alien vessels were obliterated in a single devastating wave. The humans had unlocked something even more powerful than they realized, and it was now turning the tide of battle. General Marcus Harris, standing beside her, nodded. "We need to think beyond Earth. We need to take the fight to them, not just wait for the next wave to hit us. The galaxy will not wait for us to be ready. They'll attack when they see fit." The room fell silent as the implications of his words sank in. The humans had to act fast. There was no longer any question about whether they could defeat the invaders. The real question now was whether they could protect their future. Could humanity stand against the weight of a galaxy united against them? The answer, Rivers knew, lay in their ability to adapt, innovate, and stay ahead of their enemies. "Then it's settled," Rivers said, her voice rising with authority. "We will go on the offensive. We will learn everything we can from this war, and we will prepare for the inevitable next wave. But we will not wait for them to come to us. The galaxy will feel the weight of humanity's power." Meanwhile, across the stars, Saul was not alone in his desire for revenge. Word of Earth's victory spread like wildfire, reaching the ears of other factions who had long coveted the planet's resources. Humanity's unexpected resilience had been noted. Some saw the humans as a threat, others as a nuisance. But one thing was certain: the people of Earth would no longer be overlooked. The Galactic Council was about to convene. The factions that had once brushed Earth aside were now turning their attention toward the blue planet. Their greed for its untapped resources and their desire to dominate its inhabitants was undeniable. But humanity's victory had shattered their assumptions. No longer could they view Earth as just another target. On Earth's military front lines, preparations were already underway. Humanity had built weapons unlike any the galaxy had ever seen, but the problem was no longer just about technology. Humanity had learned something even more important: unity. The unthinkable had happened. The nations of Earth had come together in a way they never had before. No longer was it just a matter of national pride or territorial gain. It was a matter of survival. Every country, every people, every race had become a part of the same fight. As President Rivers sat at the head of the United Earth Alliance, she knew that the battle for the future was not just about defending their planet. It was about shaping the future of humanity itself. They had been pushed into the void, abandoned by the rest of the galaxy. But now, humanity had tasted the strength of unity, and they had the power to forge a new destiny for themselves. "We will not be passive. We will not wait for them to strike first," Rivers declared. "This is the moment we redefine what it means to be human. We are no longer just survivors. We are the rulers of our own fate." The message echoed across every communication channel, broadcasted to every corner of the Earth. It wasn't just a speech, it was a declaration. Humanity had been exiled and forgotten, but now they were ready to rise. No longer would they be content to live in the shadows of the galaxy. Earth would become the center of a new era, a powerful force that would dominate the stars. The galaxy would have no choice but to take notice. General Marcus Harris, standing beside her, nodded. "We need to think beyond Earth. We need to take the fight to them, not just wait for the next wave to hit us. The galaxy will not wait for us to be ready. They'll attack when they see fit." The room fell silent as the implications of his words sank in. The humans had to act fast. There was no longer any question about whether they could defeat the invaders. The real question now was whether they could protect their future. Could humanity stand against the weight of a galaxy united against them? The answer, Rivers knew, lay in their ability to adapt, innovate, and stay ahead of their enemies. "Then it's settled," Rivers said, her voice rising with authority. "We will go on the offensive. We will learn everything we can from this war, and we will prepare for the inevitable next wave. But we will not wait for them to come to us. The galaxy will feel the weight of humanity's power." Meanwhile, across the stars, Saul was not alone in his desire for revenge. Word of Earth's victory spread like wildfire, reaching the ears of other factions who had long coveted the planet's resources. Humanity's unexpected resilience had been noted. Some saw the humans as a threat, others as a nuisance. But one thing was certain: the people of Earth would no longer be overlooked. The Galactic Council was about to convene. The factions that had once brushed Earth aside were now turning their attention toward the blue planet. Their greed for its untapped resources and their desire to dominate its inhabitants was undeniable. But humanity's victory had shattered their assumptions. No longer could they view Earth as just another target. On Earth's military front lines, preparations were already underway. Humanity had built weapons unlike any the galaxy had ever seen, but the problem was no longer just about technology. Humanity had learned something even more important: unity. The unthinkable had happened. The nations of Earth had come together in a way they never had before. No longer was it just a matter of national pride or territorial gain. It was a matter of survival. Every country, every people, every race had become a part of the same fight. As President Rivers sat at the head of the United Earth Alliance, she knew that the battle for the future was not just about defending their planet. It was about shaping the future of humanity itself. They had been pushed into the void, abandoned by the rest of the galaxy. But now, humanity had tasted the strength of unity, and they had the power to forge a new destiny for themselves. "We will not be passive. We will not wait for them to strike first," Rivers declared. "This is the moment we redefine what it means to be human. We are no longer just survivors. We are the rulers of our own fate." The message echoed across every communication channel, broadcasted to every corner of the Earth. It wasn't just a speech. It was a declaration. Humanity had been exiled and forgotten, but now they were ready to rise. No longer would they be content to live in the shadows of the galaxy. Earth would become the center of a new era, a powerful force that would dominate the stars. The galaxy would have no choice but to take notice. The galaxy had stirred. The distant, quiet threat of Earth had begun to echo across the stars, reaching even the most far-flung empires and factions. The humans were no longer a mere curiosity, no longer a species to be dismissed. They were a force to be reckoned with, and this realization spread like wildfire through the interstellar councils and war rooms of the universe. The exiled humans, once forgotten, had begun to rise. Saul, still recovering from the devastating defeat, stared out into the blackness of space. His mind raced with the possibilities, the tactics, the alliances he could form. His pride had been wounded deeply by the unexpected strength of the humans. Earth's victory had rocked the very foundation of his belief in galactic superiority. For the first time in his life, he felt the unmistakable sting of fear. Humans were more than just a nuisance. They were a threat. "Send word to the galactic factions," Sal ordered, his voice colder than ever before. "Prepare for the next phase. We will not make the same mistake again. The humans will regret their victory." Meanwhile, on Earth, the once quiet hum of life was replaced with an urgency that gripped every citizen. The war against the galaxy was no longer a distant thought. It was a reality. No one could deny the threat now. People moved with purpose, soldiers trained with intensity, and scientists worked day and night to uncover new ways to counter the galactic powers that now had Earth in their sights. At the helm of this new era stood President Elena Rivers, a woman whose strength and leadership had become the symbol of human resilience. Her face had appeared on every screen, in every home, calling for unity. The message had been simple: we fight not for land or power, but for survival. The world had responded. Nations set aside their differences, pooling resources and knowledge to prepare for the coming storm. General Marcus Harris, the leader of Earth's combined military forces, stood beside Rivers as they watched the stars from the command center. He knew the time for diplomacy had passed. There would be no more talks, no more deals. The galaxy had underestimated humanity once, but they wouldn't get another chance. "We've built a fleet," Harris said, his voice steady but laced with determination. "But it's not just about ships and weapons. The real strength lies in our unity. We've shown the galaxy what happens when humans are pushed to the edge. We won't back down." The warships that now lined Earth's spaceports were unlike any the galaxy had seen before. They were a testament to humanity's ingenuity, designed with technology they had stolen from the remnants of the alien ships. Each vessel was a marvel, incorporating the very best of human engineering and the hard lessons learned from their first confrontation with the invaders. These ships didn't just fight. They symbolized something far greater: Earth's resolve. But humanity knew they couldn't rely on their ships alone. The galaxy was vast, and the alien forces were many. They would need more than just technology to survive. They would need a strategy that no one expected. Rivers and Harris had already begun making their plans, not just to defend Earth, but to take the war to the stars. "We need to make them understand that Earth is not an easy target," Rivers said. "We've been exiled, but now we're coming for them. We'll strike where it hurts the most, at the heart of their empires." The idea was bold, daring, and dangerous. Humanity would no longer hide in the shadows, waiting for the next invasion. Instead, they would take the fight to the very beings who sought to crush them. The galaxy would learn that humanity had become a power in its own right, and no one would stand in their way. As the preparations unfolded, Saul wasn't the only one who noticed. News of Earth's newfound strength spread to other corners of the galaxy, where empires and factions began to take sides. Some saw the humans as a valuable ally, a means to tip the balance of power in their favor. Others, like the Vardic Empire, saw Earth as a threat that needed to be destroyed. It wasn't long before an intergalactic arms race began, with countless factions building up their fleets, preparing for the inevitable war. The stage was set for the ultimate confrontation. Earth was no longer the fragile, forgotten world it once was. The humans had forged their own destiny. Now they were ready to claim their place among the stars. As Earth's fleet ascended into the stars, General Harris looked out over the horizon, knowing that the fate of humanity rested on their shoulders. But there was no fear in his heart. There was only resolve. The war for the galaxy had begun, and humanity would fight not just to survive, but to dominate. Zal's face twisted into a grim smile as he stared at the intelligence reports flooding in. The humans had proven themselves more resilient than he had ever anticipated, but they were also dangerously unpredictable. And in his experience, that made them all the more dangerous. The humans are not to be underestimated, Zal muttered to himself. They've learned much from their victory, but no matter how clever they become, they will never match the might of the galactic powers. I will make sure of that. The first shots had been fired, and the war had officially begun. Every corner of the galaxy would soon feel the shockwaves, and as the stars burned bright overhead, humanity's place in the cosmos was no longer uncertain. It was just a matter of who would survive to see the next dawn. The war had escalated beyond anyone's expectations. The galaxy, which had once seen humanity as nothing more than a fleeting inconvenience, now faced a threat they couldn't ignore. The very species they had cast aside had proven themselves to be more than capable of standing on their own and waging war across the stars. The first major battles were behind them, but the path forward was unclear. Earth's fleet had emerged victorious in several skirmishes, but the galaxy was vast, and the empires that opposed them were far from defeated. Humanity's resolve had shaken the foundations of the universe's power structure, but with each victory came a new challenge. The alien forces were adapting, learning from their mistakes, and beginning to counter humanity's strategies. The stakes had never been higher, and the pressure weighed heavily on those leading the charge. On Earth, President Alina Rivers sat in the command center, her face illuminated by the holographic map of the galaxy that stretched before her. There were no celebrations, no time for rest. The war was far from over, and every day brought new challenges. The galaxy had not yet fully realized the threat that humanity posed. There were still factions that underestimated Earth, but that would soon change. General Marcus Harris, standing beside Rivers, observed the map with a grim expression. The fleet had pushed farther than anyone had expected, reaching the farthest sectors of known space. But the more they advanced, the more they encountered pockets of resistance that had never been seen before. The alien empires were rallying together, their vast armies combining to form a force that could easily outnumber humanity's fleet. "We need to strike at their core," Harris said, his voice low and determined. "If we can cut off their reinforcements, their resources, we might stand a chance, but we don't have much time before their full strength arrives." Rivers nodded, her eyes narrowing as she stared at the tactical display. Every move was critical. They could no longer afford to make mistakes, not with the entire galaxy watching and waiting for their next move. "Prepare the fleet," Rivers ordered. "We'll hit them hard, but we'll do it strategically. The goal is not to destroy them all at once, but to break their spirit, to show them that humanity is not just fighting for survival. It's fighting for dominance. We've been exiled for far too long. Now we take what's ours." As the fleet mobilized, Harris couldn't help but reflect on how far they had come. Not long ago, humanity had been on the brink of extinction, hiding in the shadows, forgotten by the galaxy. But now, they were taking the fight to the very heart of the galaxy. No one would be able to ignore them after this. Across the galaxy, Sal prepared his forces for what he knew would be the defining battle of this war. The humans had proven themselves to be fierce warriors, far more resilient than he had imagined. But he was confident that they would not survive the full force of the galactic empires. He would see to it that humanity would be crushed underfoot, just as he had originally intended. However, Sal's confidence began to waver when a new intelligence report reached his desk. The humans were no longer just defending their homeworld. They were taking the fight to the very heart of the galactic empire. Their ships had begun appearing in sectors that had been considered impenetrable, and their attacks were becoming more sophisticated by the day. Zal could sense the change in the air. The humans had learned from their previous victories. They were evolving, adapting to their surroundings, and becoming something far more dangerous than he had ever anticipated. "They've learned to fight like us," Zal muttered, frustration seeping into his voice. We can't let them gain any more ground. But deep inside, Exiled knew the truth. The balance of power was shifting, and it was no longer just about military might. It was about strategy, ingenuity, and an unwavering determination to succeed. The humans were no longer the underdogs. They were a legitimate threat, and that frightened him more than anything else. Back on Earth, humanity's morale was at an all-time high. The people, once divided and fractured, had united under a common cause. The war had changed everything. No longer were they just fighting to survive. They were fighting to reclaim their place among the stars. The victory over the galactic invaders had shown them what they were capable of, and now they were determined to show the rest of the galaxy the true power of humanity. As the final battle loomed, Rivers and Harris stood at the helm of Earth's greatest fleet, ready to make their stand. There was no turning back now. The galaxy would either bow to humanity's might or face annihilation. The silence of space was broken only by the hum of the engines and the distant, ominous sound of approaching enemy fleets. Earth's forces were ready for whatever came next. They had come too far, fought too hard, to back down now. "Let the galaxy know," Rivers said quietly, her voice filled with purpose. "Humanity is no longer exiled. We are here to stay." The final confrontation was about to begin, and the universe would never be the same again. Whatever the outcome, humanity had proven that they were no longer a forgotten species. They had risen from the depths of exile, and now they stood ready to dominate the cosmos. In the cold, dark expanse of space, humanity's fate would soon be decided. And no matter the outcome, they would leave a legacy that would echo across the stars for generations to come. The age of the humans had arrived, and the galaxy would never forget the day when Earth rose to dominate the cosmos.